This is the Cadex Defense Kraken.
Release the Kraken!
I know, I couldn't help it. But this is a multi-caliber, quick change barrel rifle system that was through and through designed to be a sniper rifle for military and or law enforcement, but it is so much more than that. With an additional barrel and the required accessories, you're looking at almost $11,000 for this. I spent over a week shooting it. I got a lot to say about it. Let's go. Hey folks, Gary here with Paramount Tactical. So this is not gonna be a short video, to say the least. I think it's really important with something as complex as this and as expensive as this rifle system is. I'd rather give you too much information than not enough. And especially for those of you that are considering buying this, I want you to be an extremely informed buyer. There should be no surprises, and hopefully I leave no questions unanswered. But if I do, leave those down in the comments or feel free to email us or whatever else. Also, a disclaimer here, we are a Cadex Defense dealer. With that being said, folks, our number one commodity is our integrity, and no matter if I carry a product or not, I'm going to give you the unvarnished truth. Long before we became a Cadex dealer, I'd done a lot of research on these rifles. These rifles have piqued my interest for many years, and then I actually got to see them in person at SHOT Show, and I met the guys behind the brand, all the guys at Cadex, and I'm sure many of you have actually watched my Cadex booth SHOT Show interview. Those guys were just great. And I will also say the dealer support and that we've received so far has just been amazing. And these guys are great. They're serious about their products. They're serious about customer service, dealer support. I have nothing negative to say about that. I'm really proud to be a Cadex dealer. Being a total gun nerd, I love these rifles. But with all that being said, I'm going to try to deliver the information to you as objectively as I possibly can. And try to, temper my excitement over it, because I'll tell you, the last week shooting these things, but not just this rifle, by the way, Cadex actually dropped off a bunch of other demo rifles for us to test out while we were out. We're out at Pig River Precision, where we have our long range academy courses. I was just out there testing these out, shooting other content. During those 8 days or so that I was out there shooting this rifle and testing some of their other rifles, including the Trimmer 50, I got a full review coming on that. We also got one of their covert rifles, that little short guy, that we'll be delivering a review on. Between that and other content, man, I just felt fortunate to be able to do what I get to do. And ultimately, if you're interested in one of these, any other Cadex products, or any of the products we carry, we really appreciate it if you purchase from us. It helps support the channel, but most importantly, we're gonna make sure you get a great product and you also get great customer support. So like I said, this will be a long video. I want it to be as in-depth as possible, so there will be chapter markers down below. You can use those. There's always the fast forward feature, but I also tried to make this a fun video. I think you guys are gonna really enjoy the range footage in many different regards. All right, so let's just talk about what we're getting with this rifle, and I'll show you how I have that one down there set up, why I set it up that way, and all those things. But let's just go ahead and start off at the rear of this. So first of all, everything that is going to adjust the gun to the shooter is completely toolless, very easy to adjust. And I'll just go ahead and cover the fit and finish. Folks, the fit, the finish, the quality of this gun, it feels like a $11,000 gun. The only gun that I would really compare this to as far as fit and finish, really two, is Accuracy International and Victrix. Probably closer, I think the fit and finish and overall quality materials is probably a little bit better, in my opinion. I have a lot of experience with AI, but I think it's a little bit better than AI. I think it's closer to the Victrix quality and fit and finish. Those guns are really nice. It's a Gucci gun. There's no getting around it. These are expensive, nice guns. And I'll talk more about that aspect of it at the end of this video in the summary. Back here at the butt stock, all the adjustments are completely toolless, and they not only adjust, but they adjust extremely well, extremely easy. Now on this side of the gun, you just squeeze these two tabs together, and that is going to allow you to adjust your cheek riser height. This cheek riser is extremely comfortable. I had no problem shooting on it all week. It does come with an additional cheek riser if you are left-handed. So it is not necessarily ambidextrous on its own, but it does take care of you left-handed weirdos over there. So you do have a cheek riser. I'm gonna show you another feature about that in just a second. On the right side of the rifle, you do have this throw lever. This is going to allow you to adjust your length of pull. I do like this actually clicks into place. You can hear those different clicks, and you can find your setting each and every time. And then you just push that lever back in place and it is locked in. That thing is not going anywhere. So all you need to do to adjust the height of your cheek riser, just throw this lever. It allows you to adjust the height perfectly where you want. Throw the lever back in place and you're good to go. All right, you do have two quick detach points on the left-hand side. One is here and one is here, and this is a folding stock. And I want to show you how that mechanism works. But right here, you'll see this. All we're going to do is push that back, and then of course it folds this way. Now let me show you that with the bolt installed. We'll talk a little bit more about these bolts in just a second, but I do want you to notice that as we fold this, it does lock that bolt in place. And this thing doesn't go anywhere. There is no movement in this whatsoever. To redeploy your buttstock, all you're gonna do is push this button in here, and then it's gonna rotate over here. And this thing, again, is super tight. There is absolutely no wiggle between that folding stock and the rest of the chassis. Now, if you notice, these do come standard with an angled pistol grip, but Cadex does offer a vertical pistol grip as well. And this is an AR pattern pistol grip, so you can switch that out and throw on an aftermarket of your choosing if you would like. Moving to the bolt itself, we do have an ambidextrous safety switch right there. On the left side, this is where your bolt release is. The bolt is a 60-degree bolt throw, which I really love. I like that short bolt throw. The other thing, there are many options when it comes to the type of bolt knob. You can get round knobs, standard knobs, and the tactical knob. This is the tactical knob. I really like this. Tried some of the other ones. They work well too, but I personally prefer this textured tactical bolt knob. I like the way it feels. I like the way it looks. One of the things you're gonna notice right away when you're running this gun is how smooth the action is. The actions are extremely smooth, and the bolt itself is gonna come spiral fluted, has really deep flutes on it. It just looks really nice. You're gonna get the same diameter regardless of what caliber that you have, as you can see here. So this is a 6.5 bolt body. This is a 300 Norma bolt. Same bolt diameter. You're just gonna switch this out, and all we do is switch out the cocking piece and the firing pin right here. I show you how to do that in depth in just a few minutes. Now, these rifles obviously are available in many different calibers. This particular package right here happens to be a 6.5 Creedmoor and 300 Norma. Now, the triggers that these come with are pretty interesting. Number one, I really like the fact that they come with a straight shoe. You can get it in the curves if you want, but these triggers are actually adjustable not only in pull weight, but the trigger shoe itself, you can move that forward or back. That's gonna change your leverage points on that. And on top of all that, you can actually change these triggers from a single stage to a two stage. So whatever your preference is, it is available to you, and it's quick and easy to change. They come at right at about 2 pounds. I adjusted that down to it's less than 1.5 pounds. That trigger is extremely crisp. It's just an excellent, excellent trigger, just like the rest of the rifle. Right here on top, it does come with a continuous 20 MOA rail. So you got plenty of room for any type of accessories you could possibly want, from laser beams to forward mounted night vision devices, the kitchen sink, you name it, it's got you covered there, and you're gonna have plenty of room to mount whatever you want on there. We'll talk about the barrel in just a second, but moving forward on the handguard or forend right here, folks, what looks like M-lock slots, those are not M-locks. Those are essentially just heat vents. Everything you see mounted on this, by the way, these pick rail sections, everything that you see here is exactly how this rifle is gonna come, minus the bipod. You can order this bipod. I'll talk about their bipods in just a few minutes as well, but it does come with multiple sections of pick rail, including this one up here, and then we do have a sling swivel right there. You can mount ARCA rail sections on there. I've talked about this in the past. ARCA is just a superior mounting surface. I'll talk about those because I do recommend those. But what is cool about this is I love how beefy this entire forend. This is extremely thick, which is why M-lock systems don't work on this. Even if it was the right dimensions, which it's not, it wouldn't work because this forend is just so beefy and thick. When you do mount any accessory to this, you are gonna be using threaded hardware, and it is secure for sure. You know, given that this was specifically built for hard use operations, I really appreciate that they use a much more robust mounting hardware and mounting system in general. It is much better and much more secure than any M-lock system is going to provide, period. So this is not an M-lock slot, just be aware of that. This is essentially proprietary given the bolt patterns on this. Also, all of their rail accessories, whether it's the pick rail sections, you know, the QD points, or the ARCA rails, they're all extremely competitively priced. They're not more expensive than what other brands are selling it for on the market. So just be aware of that. All right, so let's talk about the barrels that come with these rifles. So first of all, the barrels that you're gonna get with any of the Kraken system, as is with almost every single one of Cadex's other rifle offerings, with an exception of a couple, you're getting a Bartline single point cut barrel. Some of the best barrels on the market, and arguably the best barrels on the market. And you can see on these barrels that come with the Kraken system, they have extremely deep cut cooling fins, which explains the performance that I experienced that you'll see later on, because I shot some pretty big strings of fires with these barrels and I saw zero impact shift due to heat saturation. Doesn't get much better than Bartline, simple as that. Now if you look here at the end of this barrel, these do come with these shovel nose style brakes. It's extremely effective, extremely good. Absolutely no reason to change unless you're gonna do like me and put a suppressor on these things. As far as the accessories that you're gonna get with each one of these systems, you're gonna get the user manual. And folks, this is actually a really well made, well executed user manual. It does come with a really nice set of Allen wrenches. There's some Torx in there, but it's a really nice kit that you'll be able to keep in your tool bag. And then of course, a full color catalog featuring all of their other products. That way, with what little money you have left after buying this rifle, you can figure out how to offload that as well. So, and folks, last but not least, with the rifle, you get this bag. I am a rifle case, rifle bag, drag bag connoisseur. I have multiples over there that I've spent a lot of money on. And folks, I'm telling you right now, this is the nicest, most well-constructed, most heavy-duty, most padded rifle case that I have ever come across. As a matter of fact, I just found out that they do sell these individually. I'm gonna start carrying these in the store. And there's a lot of companies that sell bags not nearly as nice as this for over $400, $500. Folks, the largest one of this is not the largest, is like 240 bucks. I think this one's 220. And then they have a smaller one for like the coverts that I think is just barely over 2. But this has all the room you need for not only your rifle, but all of your accessories as well. It has an extra barrel spot, has spot for your tools, has another spot for your additional, all your manuals, some other things you can carry in there, has some magazine slots in here. Folks, the padding on this is, again, the construction, the padding, best drag bag I've ever come across, period, end of story. So that is a really, really nice bonus with each one of these rifles. And if you have a rifle already and you're looking for a drag bag, go to ParamountTactical.com, get you one of these. People will think you have a Cadex, even if you don't, but it's gonna protect your rifle all the same. All right, so this is the Kraken that I shot this entire review on. And I'll talk a little bit about setup and why, and maybe give you some ideas, or at least tell you why I set this rifle up the way that I did. I'll also talk a little bit about the Fire 4000. While I was out there, I shot a full review on this. You'll see that review coming very, very soon. And it's actually not true. I didn't just shoot that Kraken while I was out there. I shot this one as well, which happened to be set up. It's the exact same model. This is a 6.5 and 300 PRC. Just like this one, both in FDE. One thing I didn't talk about earlier, not only can you get these in different calibers, there is a ton of different colors that you can get, both kind of the standard colors, but then also some custom colors that you can get with this. So a lot of variability and a lot of customization that you can do to these rifles. Now that second Kraken was one of like 4 or 5 rifles our dealer rep dropped off for me to review while I was out there. I actually include that rifle in the review and you'll see the relevance of that later. This was a rifle that I actually pulled from my own stock. I didn't know I was gonna get these other kind of demo rifles, but it all kind of worked out. As a matter of fact, we already sold this rifle, and yes, I made sure the client knew that this was a demo rifle. So Jared, this is the exact rifle that you're getting. So I think you're gonna love it for sure. And actually, I'm very sad to see it go. And I will be getting probably the exact same configuration for myself very soon. Just no one tells Summer. She doesn't watch these videos anyhow. One of the features I forgot to mention when I was going over the other rifle, and it's one that I think is really cool personally, is that every single component of this rifle is serialized to the rifle itself. So every barrel you get is serialized and matching serial numbers to the action. Every single bolt body is serialized, matching. I think that's cool. I really like that. That way nothing's gonna get mixed up, but I also think kind of from a collector standpoint, that's really cool too. The other feature that I forgot to mention is actually a really important one to me, and it's one that's missing on most rifle systems. And that is, you can loosen this fastener right here on the cheek riser. You pull this off. We have these different, I don't know, slots, whatever you want to call them, and the 3 middle ones are threaded. You know, I personally have a really long neck, and one of the problems I have fitting on most rifles is the fact I can't index this cheek riser forward. So I'm a bigger guy. So after I end up adjusting my length of pull, what happens is my cheek ends up sitting right up here. I love the fact that I was able to index this forward so that I can actually, my face is resting on the cheek riser properly, which is something I actually don't get to do on most rifles. I kind of have to come back a little bit, or my face is just falling off the edge of it. This one, I was comfortable the entire time. I love the construction of this cheek riser. It is, you know, it's a polymer, but it has a really nice padded foam section. I also like that it's nice and wide, has a lot of surface area. It's just really comfortable, and most people are gonna really enjoy that compared to some of the other cheek riser options out there. All right, so one of the changes that I made to this rifle, and I recommend that you make, is get yourself one of these Arca spec rails. These are extremely nice, extremely durable, extremely robust. And again, these things bolt to this very thick, very robust forend. I love this. You'll notice here that we have a locking Arca. I'm sure Area 419 would be upset if I called it Arca lock. You know, they're not gonna move or slide around on you because they do have those locking and indexing pins in them. So they are locked into place once you tighten those down. And then once you get into the exact position that you want, you lock that down, and it's good to go. All right, so these bipods, not only is the fit and finish on these just as good as the rifle, the adjustments on these are extremely smooth. The fit and finish on the bipod is extremely nice. They slide up and down with just these buttons on them. Extremely nice. The other thing that is interesting or very cool about them is that this does provide cant, right? But if you look right there, it's like on this, it's like on a slide. It doesn't just pivot at one point, actually slides left and right. That's actually a really nice feature. So when it comes to just the overall quality of these bipods, they're as good as anything out there. I would carry these bipods. You can pull those locking pins out of the bipod, so you can use this with the standard Arca rail. Now, the way that I set this gun up is exactly how I would set up a gun if I was still operational. I was doing sniper operations, whether that be military or law enforcement. Now, what I decided to go with on this optic was a Night Force Attacker 7-35 with a Trimmer 3 reticle. Given the kind of the purpose of this rifle, given my background, I think this is just a really cool setup. Of course, you can put any optic on here. You can use this rifle for any reason. As I talk about later, it's just one of the nicest shooting rifles that I personally have ever used, period. That is not hyperbole. That's not me trying to sell you something. I'm just being honest with you. But I did go with the Night Force. I like to use holdovers, especially if you're doing sniping operations. It just makes sense to have a holdover reticle, something like the Trimmer 3. You'll see in the video in just a few minutes of me utilizing that. As far as the mounts, I have the Area 419 mounts. I think those are the best mounts available. You can go check out that video right there where I did a full review of these mounts. And I also went with a high diving board where I mounted the Fire 4000. This combination is just really cool. It's super fast. You'll see my full review on that. I also went with the KGM suppressor. This rifle just needs a suppressor, in my opinion. It just makes it much more pleasant to shoot. It's what I would use operationally. But when it comes to precision rifle suppressors, there's only two that I would recommend, and that is KGM and Thunder Beast Arms. And you'll see the comparison between those two. Not all suppressors do really well as far as maintaining or actually improving the accuracy and performance and precision of a rifle. Fact is, KGM and Thunder Beast both do that. You can see over here on the left-hand side of the gun, I have a couple of different contraptions. Number one, I do have an SG Pulse. It's an electronic level. I got a review on that. And then I do have a Hawkhill data card. I think those are really nice to have. And then I also attached the Area 419 fixed bubble level. Yeah, that's redundant. That's for a reason. When you're shooting in distance, folks, I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure that you have that gun level. I've talked about that in many different videos, but that's how I have this rifle set up, and it's pretty ideal. All right, so we've covered most of the technical features. I'm sure I left some things out. The other thing I'll say, folks, there is just a plethora of customization options and other things that not only Cadex carries, but they can do that, just from the website you would never know. So if you have questions about maybe some small features you would like to change, those options are most likely available. You just need to give us a call and we can talk through those options. I can confirm or deny that information. But also, if you have questions or I left something out, leave those down in the comments and I'll try to adjust that. Also, every Wednesday we have a live stream. You can join us at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and if you have questions there, we can answer those directly, or give us a call, shoot us an email, all those things. All right, so what we're gonna do now is jump into the range and performance portion of this review. But before we do that, if you like content like this, make sure you like, subscribe, throw a comment down below. That helps us out. If you're not already, make sure you go follow us on other social media sites. We really appreciate that. I also, folks, if you support and defend the Second Amendment, YouTube is not our friend. We have a lot of subscribers here. We get the most views here. But I also highly suggest you go check out Rumble. Go subscribe over on Rumble. YouTube censors the crap out of us and anybody else. They don't support the First Amendment. They definitely don't support the Second Amendment. So I would like to see eventually us all move to a platform like Rumble that is currently dedicated to supporting freedom of speech. And at least as of right now, they're not censoring Second Amendment content, which I think is really important. Anyways, like, subscribe, share our content, all those things. Let's go shoot. All right, folks, so I've been out here at Pig River putting the Cadex Kraken through its paces. Right now I still have the 6.5 barrel on there. We'll definitely be pulling that off, showing you how to do that, and then replacing with the 300 PRC and then playing around with that. So that's gonna be fun too. Man, this thing is just a hammer. I don't know what else to tell you about it. I mean, this thing just shoots. The action's unbelievable. It's just been great, man. I love this rifle even more than I thought it would. Every time that I post a video on Cadex rifles, there's always Cadex owners jumping down in the comments and, just praising the crap out of them. And I understand why now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna shoot these 4 targets. The target distances are 345, 646, 813, and 989. I'm just gonna be using the holdover reticle in this Attacker 7-35. Man, it's really good to practice your holdovers. If you get in the practice of just dialing all the time, you're gonna lose that proficiency. Or if you don't have that proficiency, you should practice it. There's a lot of benefits to doing holdovers, especially when it comes to speed. All right, so first target is 345. We're gonna be holding 1.4. We got a little bit of right to left wind, not enough to matter at this distance. So at 1.4, we'll get this gun level. There we go, 1.4. Impact, center mass. Now we're moving out to 646. All right, 646. Wind is picking up just a little bit. We're gonna be at 4.3. And I'm gonna hold 3/10. 4.3, 3/10. Impact. Now we're at 813, we're at 6.3. We got, the wind is gusting, 6.3. We find that hold. And I am gonna go a full, maybe 5/10. Yeah, full 5/10 over here. Impact. Now we have 989. Our hold is 8.8. Need to make sure this gun is level for these long guys, 8.8. And I'm gonna go a full 5/10, maybe 6. Yeah, we're gonna go 6. Impact. There you go, folks. That thing is just a hammer. This rifle's impressive, I don't care who you are. All right, so stay tuned, we got a lot more coming. A lot more to show you on this rifle, the different features, the capabilities, barrel change, all that good stuff. And then of course, we're gonna play with the 300 PRC barrel as well. All right, so we're gonna do some accuracy testing on the 6.5 Creedmoor barrel of the Cadex Kraken. I will be shooting 4 5-round groups of the Hornady ELDM 140 grain. But then I'm also gonna go ahead and shoot 4 5-round groups of some hand loads that I have that were not loaded for this rifle, but I just want to see what the difference is between those two. So that'll be interesting. This rifle isn't zero, but that's okay. I'm going to mechanically zero based on these 4 5-round groups. All right, so that's definitely subbing away. Nothing to write home about, but it's pretty good. I think box ammunition is going to limit the capabilities of this rifle without a doubt, between using different types of ammunition, finding one that this rifle really likes, and or loading, or even from lot to lot. Those are just the limitations that we're all going to experience with box ammunition. So anytime you're getting sub MOA with box ammunition, I think that's pretty good. Second one, I do feel like I pulled a little bit. I'm gonna shoot one more. That second round I do feel like I pulled. You guys can ding me in the comments if you want, but I did feel it. All right, that's our second 5-round group. That was our third 5-round group. That by far was the best. All right, that last one's almost definitely gonna be over an MOA. All right, we'll shoot one more 5-round group, why not? Not as good as the third one, but definitely better than the last one I shot. Now we're gonna let this cool just a little bit, and we're gonna shoot some hand loads and see what kind of difference we get out of that. All right, and just so you guys know, what we were getting out of those Hornadies was average of 20 feet per second, 10.3 for SD, which is not bad. And then the extreme spread was 35.4. Now we're gonna be moving to some hand loads, and these are some Burger 140 grain hybrid targets, powered by 40.4 grains of H4350. So we'll see how these do. Well, that looks a lot better, right? And by the way, this was not loaded specific to this gun at all right? This was loaded for one of my masterpiece arms. I just happen to have it with me. So that's what we're getting. So, all right, so that's the first group. Maybe that was a fluke. I was literally in the same hole. That's 5. I think the old Kraken shoots if you got the right ammo. I screwed that up. I moved to the next target. All right, I'm putting another one over in this one, and we're gonna count that as the first shot from that group. All right, and folks, that was basically 50 rounds, just about back to back. I took a little 6-7 minute break in between the first 5 groups and the second 5 groups. I definitely got some, quite a bit of mirage coming off my suppressor. So we're definitely not seeing any sort of thermal shift, which is also impressive. You know, but those groups are exactly what we'd expect out of an $8,000 rifle. And you know, I mean, junk in, junk out. It's as simple as that. And not to say that Hornady ELDM is junk, but it's definitely going to, you know, limit your accuracy and precision. There's no doubt about it, right? And as far as the chronograph data for that, we have an average 27.36, standard deviation of 9 feet per second, an extreme spread of 40 feet per second. So again, this ammunition was not loaded for this gun. I think we could even get tighter groups and get that extreme spread down quite a bit if we loaded to this gun. All right, let's go down there and see what we got. All right, so what we're getting ready to do is 2 things. Number 1, I'm gonna take you guys through the barrel change process or the caliber change process. Specifically, I'm gonna show you how to change it from short action to long action. And then the other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna test point of impact shift after a barrel change. I've already checked 0 with this rifle. It is good to go. This is a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel. We're gonna take this off and I'm gonna put it back on, and then we're gonna check for point of impact shift. I'm just curious about that. I don't know that they have any claims of that one way or the other. The other thing I'll tell you is this is only the 3rd time I've ever done this. It's a pretty simple process, but it is a little nerve-wracking the first time that you do it, and it feels a little confusing until you've done it once or twice. What I will say is just follow the instructions. There are some nuanced details in there that you're gonna wanna follow and pay attention to. Follow the instructions. The instructions in the instruction manual are very good, by the way, for us knuckle draggers out there. It has really good pictures. It has really good instructions. It makes it easy. and you're gonna wanna follow that and make sure that you know what's going on. What you're gonna need for this job specifically, if you're changing from short action to long action or vice versa, is number one, you're always gonna need the tools. This is the barrel change tool. This right here is the action retention tool. And then this right here is a barrel torque wrench. Now, we're not actually gonna be changing calibers, but I'm gonna show you exactly what you need to do that and how to do that, right? So the first thing you wanna do, obviously, is, you know, for all you YouTube range safety officers out there, we're gonna make sure the gun's clear. This should go without saying, but the gun is clear, and we're gonna go ahead and remove our bolt. Now we're going to take our barrel change tool, and I'm gonna bring the camera in closer. Try not to block the light too much here. Now on the bottom of your barrel change tool is this little piece right here. This is gonna line up with your trigger assembly down there. So we're gonna insert that barrel change tool. All right, we're gonna push past or even depress the bolt release. All right, so we're gonna make sure that this piece right here is at the 6 o'clock. All right, and you wanna make sure this is rotated to the left. And if it doesn't go in, just go ahead and rotate this to the left. It's gonna get to this point, folks. You'll be able to see that it's still not flush. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna rotate this to the right, and then it locks in. You know it's in correctly because the barrel removal tool is gonna be flush with the action right there, and then this will not come out. That is locked into place. Then you're gonna get your action retaining tool. All right, looks like this.
All right, hand me the Kraken tools. I think we need to relieve the tension off the serpentine belt so that we can remove it.
And then you'll be able to see these 3 lugs on there, and they line up with the 3 recesses on the barrel removal tool. All right, and it'll go on just like that. I want you to notice that I currently have this off the table. That's how I want it, because you're gonna end up pushing down on this, and if you have anything below this, you can bust your knuckles. You don't wanna do that. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're gonna take our barrel torque wrench, and we're going to put it on just like this. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna hold this in place, and we're gonna push our barrel torque wrench up. And as you break that barrel free, folks, it does stop. It will not hit your optic if you have an optic mounted. That was one of the things I was really worried about when I first did this. It doesn't hit your optics, so you're good to go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove our barrel torque wrench and our action retaining tool. So right now, our barrel is free from the action. And I want you to just be able to see right there. I'm gonna try to not get in the way of the light. Now we're just gonna start rotating the barrel to the left, and you'll see that that's gonna come loose. Then all you're gonna do is carefully pull your barrel free. All right, so once we have our barrel free, all right, and I also wanted to show you on any secondary barrel that they're gonna send with you, you do get a thread protector right here, which is really nice, and then you do get an additional thread protector at the muzzle. All right, so before we reinstall the barrel, and again, we're not changing out caliber, but I'm gonna show you how to do that. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to disengage our barrel removal tool. We're just gonna take this piece right here, we're gonna rotate it to the left, all right? And then we're gonna hit our bolt release over here. And you don't have to go all the way, you can just pull it out just a little bit. I'm gonna bring you back over here because I want you to pay attention. Right there is the end of our action. Just want you guys to see what this needs to look like before you start messing with any of the tools again. So you're gonna thread our barrel back on there. Again, make sure that you don't do any cross threads, and of course, anytime that you are threading anything on, a muzzle device, the barrel itself, make sure you guys don't ever force the threads. That's how you end up with significant problems. All right, so now I've threaded that on, and what I want you guys to notice, what's important here, is that this is flush. All right, the barrel is actually flush with the action itself. That's what we're looking for. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna re-engage that barrel removal tool. So we're gonna make sure that we push in on the bolt release, and we're gonna wiggle this back in, and make sure it's rotated all the way to the right, and then it's locked in. I wanna have some clearance for these tools. So again, I'm gonna take my action retaining tool, and I'm gonna line up the lugs with the slots, and we're just going to make sure that's all the way on there just like that. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our barrel torque wrench, all right, and we're going to line that up just like that. That is good to go. All right, what I want you to pay attention to here on the barrel torque wrench is on the left side, we have a metallic indicator in this slot, and we're gonna line that up with that white indicator on the tool itself. We're gonna grab on the action retaining tool, and we're gonna push down until those are aligned, just like that. Now, we're not actually changing calibers on this, but if we were changing calibers, we'd need to change out our bolt body. So this is the bolt body for the 300 PRC. This is the bolt body for the 6.5 Creedmoor. They're the same diameter. The only difference is the bolt face itself. You can see 6.5 Creedmoor, 300 PRC. All we're gonna do is take the back of the cocking mechanism and we're going to rotate that away from us. If I'm holding in this direction, and now we can pull out our firing pin. And then all we would do is replace that firing pin. I'm just putting it back in the same bolt body because we're not actually changing calibers. And then you're just gonna push this in and then rotate it back towards you till it snaps into that spot right there. And there, that's all you need to do as far as changing out the firing pin and the bolt bodies. Now what's left for us to do is to change out the magazine sleeve if it is needed, right? We could be changing to a caliber that is gonna use the same magazines, but in this case, I have a 300 PRC barrel and I have a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel. So if I was changing this barrel out to 300 PRC, I'd want to put in this magazine sleeve. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your barrel change tool, and on the very end of that there is actually an Allen that fits in that fastener right there. And all we're gonna do is use that Allen to go ahead and loosen that. And what I love about this is that fastener is retained. It's not gonna fall out on you. Once you have this removed, this is a great time to make any changes to your trigger, all right? This is a completely adjustable trigger. Not only is it adjustable in pull weight, but it's also adjustable from single stage to two stage. We just move this fastener from this hole to that hole right there, and it goes from two stage to single stage. Now, if I was changing out this magazine sleeve, all I do is remove that right there. Then we would take our new magazine sleeve and we would press it down in there. Make sure it fits flush just like that. We're not changing this. We're gonna go ahead and put our short action mag sleeve back in there, and then we're going to reinstall that, line everything up, just like that. Take our barrel removal tool, use the Allen on the end, and then we're going to just tighten that hand tight, and that's it. All right, so as you guys see, that is really super simple, super easy. You do have to have the required tools on there. And admittedly, the first time I did that, probably even the second time, it's a little nerve-wracking. You're feeling like you're gonna mess something up. Just follow the directions, it's as simple as that. And after you do it once or twice, you'll become a pro. You can do this very quick. You can easily do a barrel swap, you can do in under 2 minutes. Changing everything out, 3 to 5 at the most. And you can definitely do it out in the field, but hopefully that was helpful. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we got any point of impact shift on this rifle after that. So it was 0 prior to, now we've removed the barrel, we put it back in. Now we're gonna go recheck our 0 and see where we're at. So earlier I confirmed that this rifle was indeed zeroed. We had a good 0 on it. I pulled the barrel, then we reinstalled it, and now we're gonna see if we have any sort of point of impact shift. All right, right target, top left diamond. Huh. All right, folks, that is 3 rounds. I expected some shift, I'm not gonna lie. I figured half him away, something like that. 0 shift, 0 shift. That is impressive. That is impressive.
993.
Yep.
Okay.
What does it say?
8.2.
Let's go, 8.2. Shooting 1,000 yards, Sarge, you gotta have your act together. Spotters up. Get that gun level.
Shooters up.
Send it. Impact! Oh, freaking with authority. Good job. What else you want to shoot? Want to shoot that 1125 in the middle?
Sure.
Let's go. Lays. Yep, 1125. What's it say?
10.2.
Do it. 10.2. Give me 4 tenths right total.
Okay.
Spotters up.
Oh, I'm out again. Got 1 shot.
1 shot. All right, let's see if we can do it in 1 shot.
Shooters up.
All right, and I want you to favor slightly right as well, because we're probably at 5 tenths right now. Spotters up. Send it. Impact!
Woo.
Impact! Woo! Woo! Good job, dude. My man. High five. smacking it at 1125. All right, so this is the long range portion of the testing for the 300 PRC. Yesterday we got less than optimal accuracy. I do believe 100% that it's an ammo issue. I think we get some different ammo, we're gonna see drastically different results. And you know, what we have is what we have. But we're gonna be shooting out the distance. We're gonna start at 477, then go to 510, 621, 695, 813, 990, 1125, and which is short work for the 300 PRC. I was looking at truing the data. I saw that there was a little bit of inconsistency in what we were getting versus what I saw in the Kestrel. And like to true this, really you need it at like 1900 yards. So to get to like 1.2 Mach on that, which is where you need to be. All right, so we're gonna have some fun with this. I have the video running through the trigger cam and I have video running through the spotting scope. I'll get up and change that spotting scope. I'm gonna show you hits and misses, right? We're not gonna pull any punches. If I miss, I miss. We have about a 3 to 5 right to left wind. So we'll be holding for that. I'm gonna go ahead and dial so I can keep everything fairly centered. One thing that never fails to surprise me is how minimal the recoil is on the 300 PRC. It is a completely different shooting experience than 300 Win Mag. It is so much softer shooting. It is just shockingly soft to shoot. All right, folks, so Summer showed up. She's never shot the 300 PRC. She's never shot 1,000 yards. Thought it'd be fun to throw on my gun and see what we can do here. How was your trigger squeeze? Does that feel good? Okay, so just hold the trigger back to the rear. Don't come off the trigger right away. So put your crosshairs right on that line on the target. Spotters up. Send it when you're ready. All right, that one was better. That made more sense. Spotters up. Impact. Good job, baby. How was shooting the 300 PRC?
It was good.
High five.
Really good.
High five. Is it, how was that recoil?
It was great, actually. A lot less than I expected.
A lot like her husband. And of course, you know, how you have that gun set up definitely matters. A little bit more weight, some sort of muzzle brake and or a good suppressor with a brake. You know, like we have with the Magnus RR, all those things definitely help mitigate that recoil, but it is so much softer shooting than 300 Win Mag. The other thing I get a lot of questions is, you know, should I go 7 PRC or 300 PRC? Here's my opinion on that. I would always go with 300 PRC because number one, the cost of the round isn't drastically different. The recoil isn't different, or at least not enough to matter. And the 300 PRC just gives you so much more capabilities, or at least more capabilities than 7 PRC. 7 PRC is a great cartridge, there's no doubt about it. I just don't see where there's a certain niche that you would specifically choose 7 over 300, right? 300 PRC is just gonna do everything you need to do. It's just gonna do a little bit better. Then you go up to 300 Norma. I think the 300 PRC wins for most people because of the cost of the cartridge. Not a huge difference in recoil. There is definitely more recoil in 300 Norma, and the 300 PRC is gonna do about 95% of what the 300 Norma is gonna do, one way or the other. So if you want my opinion on whether to choose 300 PRC, 300 Norma, or 7 PRC, I say go 300 PRC all day long, unless you're shooting specifically ELR, and that's what you're doing. That's a dedicated ELR gun. You probably want to go up to 300 Norma. So let's shoot at this first target, and I'm always taking data down. It helps you learn your dope so much easier, and it also helps you remember when your ballistic app isn't lining up with reality. So make sure you guys are doing that. So right now, and I'm gonna dial this, right now it says the helmet that we're shooting at is 477. Our initial will be 2.1. So we'll go ahead and go to 2.1. I'm gonna be holding win. You guys will be able to see that. And I am gonna continue running muzzle velocity data. Yesterday, after accuracy testing, we ended up with the average muzzle velocity of 2843 for a 225 grain monster bullet. All right, let's do some shooting. There's our German helmet. I did not see that coming. All right, so, and folks, I normally wouldn't have my left eye closed, non-shooting eye closed, but I'm looking right into the sun and it's hurting my eyeball. All right, so I'm gonna hold basically just 2/10 right. Gun is level. Impact. Could have hold another 10th right, but that was pretty good. Impact. So that data is good. Elevation-wise, that is good. 2.1 at 477. I'm going to circle that and annotate 2.1 good. The next target we're going to be shooting is at 510. It's just to the left of that target. There it is right there. That is going to be at 2.3. All right, we're gonna be holding 3/10 right. Well, doesn't get much more center of the mass than that, but I did forget to move the spotting scope, which I'm gonna try to do every single time. All right, so the next target that we're gonna be shooting is this target over here at 621, and I did move the spotting scope for you so you can actually see that, see what the wind's doing out there. All right, we're going to hold 4/10 right. Impact. All right, so we're at 695. Should be at 3.9. Let's go for the small silhouette. All right, looks like we went a little heavy on the wind. Yeah, so our elevation on this is high. I'm gonna come down 2/10, right edge. Impact. All right, so 3.5 is our dope on there. It said 3.9. We only went 3.5. All right, so we're shooting 813 next. We're starting off at 5. That's what the data it gave us. Let's see if that is indeed correct. I'm suspecting we're gonna have to come down a couple of tenths. Matter of fact, I already know it. So we're gonna go down to 4.8. And I am holding 3/10 right based on this wind that we have right here. Impact. Glad I trusted my instincts and went with 4.8. All right, so now we're gonna be going for 990, basically 1,000 yards. It calls for 7. We're gonna go 6.8. Maybe even, I'm gonna go 6.7. All right, we're at 6.7. All right, we're holding 5/10. Get our gun level, because it's not right now. 5/10. Oop. A little too much wind there. Coming back. Basically 2/10, right? Impact. Man, the freaking authority at which this round hits that steel is just phenomenal. I have this dialed pretty far out so that you guys can see the full reticle. And between that and the shade that we have in there, I can't tell exactly on the elevation where it hit. I think it was the water line, but I'll review the footage and correct my data if I need to on the windage. So we were at 6.7 on that, and I believe that elevation was good. Now we're shooting at 1125. I'm just looking at our velocity. We went from averaging 2840 something to, and it was hotter yesterday, by the way, to 2867. So this barrel's speeding up. Right now it's calling for 8.6. I am gonna go 8.3. And I am holding 4/10 right. All right, look like it went just high and left. And again, look how this stays on target, folks. The recoil is ridiculously low. I think that was mainly a wind issue. I'm gonna go to 8.2. I think that's the right call. And I'm going to hold 6/10 right. All right, 1125, 6/10 right. We're gonna go 8/10. Wind's picking up a little bit. Impact. Impact. Boom. So that is correct. And again, I can't exactly see where that impact was. I have the magnification dialed way down, but we're at 8.2 on that. 8.2. All right, so that was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I want you to pay attention to the data collection process, right? You gotta take down this data or you won't remember it. And when that kestrel is wrong, you gotta have something to fall back on and make sure that you're proving your data and you know your data is correct. The other thing is clearly our barrel's speeding up. Our average velocity yesterday from just doing the accuracy testing was 2843. We are now at 2863. So this barrel is definitely speeding up, and it's 20 degrees. It was 20 degrees hotter yesterday than it is today. So barrel speeding up without a doubt, and that's only in like, I don't know, 4, maybe 5 boxes of ammo, including the time that a little bit of recreational shooting that we did the other day with Ray. So even though we weren't getting the precision that we wanted out of this rifle during the accuracy test, obviously we are still easily able to make impacts at over 1,000 yards. It's almost too easy. It really is. This thing is great. Anyways, we got a lot more to show you and a lot more to talk about, so stay tuned. All right, so we're getting ready to do the accuracy test on the Cadex Defense Kraken with the 300 PRC barrel. Yesterday, I actually zeroed this barrel. I got approximately 40 rounds through it, cleaned it real good, so we're starting off a clean, cold barrel. And then me and Ray actually went off and we did some long-range shooting with it as well after we zeroed this rifle. We kind of did a little bit of accuracy testing yesterday. We were doing a comparison between it and the MRAD. You'll be able to see that in another video, both on Ray's channel and mine. And as we were shooting that yesterday, I kept the Garmin Zero on and I was watching those, number one, obviously the velocity, but SDs and extreme spreads. And it made me realize that this is something that we need to talk about a little bit more. When we're shooting box ammunition, folks, and this is Hornady ELD-M, 225 grain match ammunition. Anytime me or any other YouTuber or anybody does any sort of accuracy testing for a rifle, understand that the limitation is most likely in the ammo if we're using box ammunition. Be a whole nother kind of ball game if we were loading ammunition for this. The fact of the matter is this is an inch, you know, 1.5 MOA, 2 MOA ammunition. No matter how good this rifle is, that's all it's gonna ever shoot, right? That is the limiting factor. And the same thing conversely with ammunition. If I'm, you know, doing some accuracy testing on some ammunition and I'm up there with my Peepaw's, you know, hunting rifle that has, you know, a pencil barrel, and I'm saying, hey, you know, this match ammunition is shooting 3 MOA, that's not indicative of what's really going on. So with the 6.5 Creedmoor barrel that we're gonna be accuracy testing as well, I do have some hand loads. We're gonna compare the Hornady 140 grain with the 6.5 Creedmoor barrel. We're gonna compare the Hornady ELD-M 140 grain versus the hand loads. And those hand loads are not even loaded for this rifle or that barrel, obviously. They're loaded for another rifle of mine. Just understand that. I think that's really important. And I didn't do really any major accuracy testing. I'm just, again, I saw some pretty big standard deviations and extreme spreads. So just be aware of that. But anyways, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna shoot 4 groups of 5. 4 groups of 5. I'm gonna give you the measurements on all that. You're gonna know exactly what's going on. I am gonna try to abbreviate this process to make it short as possible, but I do wanna capture it all so you guys know that I'm not doing anything funny. All right, let's go. All right, so that's the first group. It's not pretty. We're not gonna change a single thing. We're not gonna adjust the zero or anything like that. Holy crap. All right, so other than that first one, I mean, now we're looking at, you know, 3rd MOA up there, that group. Let's shoot one more group and see where that gets us. Right now we're getting a standard deviation of 15.6 and 64 on the extreme spread. We're averaging a velocity of 2843. So I think this would dial in very, very nicely with a little bit better ammunition, or maybe even some different Hornady ammunition or a different lot. You know, there's definitely some things in there. I'm not making excuses for it. I'm showing you what it is. I just think that this rifle is a lot more capable than that ammunition is indicating downrange. And again, when you're dealing with extreme spreads of 64, and I also may just start hand loading some 300 PRC, or we can try some burgers or some other ammunition out there. I just think we'll get some drastically different results. All right, folks, so no, you're not seeing double. All right, we actually have 2 Krakens now. After definitely the disappointing results that we got out of the 300 PRC barrel, I spent a lot of time yesterday and a lot of ammo, by the way, just trying to diagnose what's going on. I actually ended up shooting a bunch of groups with a different suppressor, with no suppressor. We weren't getting good results. My dealer rep came by yesterday, dropped off some additional guns for us to test. He actually had another Kraken, happened to be the exact same. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and abbreviate this portion for you because the results end up being pretty much the same. So long story short, after I'd done that initial 300 PRC testing with this rifle, our dealer rep dropped off basically the exact same rifle with 300 PRC. Even before I got this, I did a lot of troubleshooting, trying to diagnose what was going on. I shot groups with a different suppressor, with no suppressor and just a break, very within the margin of error of, same results. And then when he dropped off this rifle, which also has a 300 PRC barrel, it was, just good due diligence to you, the viewer, to do some accuracy testing with that. Very, very similar results, again, within the margin of error. To me, that alone confirmed that we had an ammo issue. Now, I did have some conversations with our dealer rep. He was actually headed to the NRA show in Atlanta. He actually went and talked to the guys at the Cadex booth and was telling them about the issues that I was having with accuracy with the 300 PRC. And they said, stop, before you say anything, let me guess, Hornady ELDM 225 grain. So this is a known issue with inconsistencies with that 225. This whole opportunity to go do what I was doing was kind of on a short notice, so I didn't have time to order a bunch of different types of ammo. But now I do have a bunch of additional 300 PRC ammunition coming that I'll be able to try. I also ordered a bunch of reloading gear for 300 PRC because this will be my next rifle. I absolutely love it. Not this rifle. This rifle's getting ready to get dismantled and shipped out the door to a customer. But the fact is, I am going to do a follow-up video covering accuracy with 300 PRC with a couple different types of ammo as well as hand loads. So look forward to that. I want you guys to notice that I didn't cherry pick a couple of groups to show you. I could have done that. I don't believe in that. I also think that anytime these YouTubers, including myself, anybody out there, they're only showing you one group, that's not enough. You need a large sample size to get a accurate portrayal of what's going on with that weapon, with that ammunition, whatever they're testing, right? We need larger sample sizes for sure, and that's what I always want to do. But because of this issue, the one thing that came up was, hey, if this barrel doesn't shoot, what is Cadex going to do about it? The fact is Cadex is going to stand behind their products, and if you have a barrel that's bad, and it can happen, it's unlikely to happen, but if it does happen, folks, they're going to take care of you. We as a dealer are going to take care of you. And if you have a question about any of the Cadex products, give us a call, shoot us an email. I promise you we're going to take care of you. All right, so let's go ahead and summarize. This has been a long video, but I thought I owed it to you, the viewer, and or a potential customer to know exactly what you were getting. I thought the level of detail that we went into was important, and some of the other things I threw in kind of for fun. All right, so when it comes to pros and cons, let's just go ahead and cover the negatives or disadvantages, whatever you want to call them first. The really only one that I see is the price. Look, these are expensive rifles. Can you get cheaper rifles that perform very similar in some areas? Absolutely. And I'm not going to even try to justify the price in that, there's no justification necessarily for buying a Rolex versus, a $20 Timex. Like, you're buying that Rolex because you want the Rolex. And I know there's going to be a bunch of people down in the comments. Anytime that we do any sort of high-end gear, there's a lot of just asinine comments, in my opinion.
All I hear from you, you spineless cowards, is how poor you are.
Look, I understand that these rifles are not for everybody. There's some people that can't afford them. There's some people that aren't going to prioritize the money for them. There's other people that are collectors. There's other people that like buying, these kind of high-end rifles, whether they be Accuracy International, whether they be, Victrix, Sockos, whatever it is. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that these rifles are the best bang for your buck. They're not close to that. That's not the purpose that these serve. So we'll just get that off the table right away. All right, so now that we got the negative out of the way, let's talk about the pros or advantages of buying one of these systems. So first of all, yes, after, just the rifle itself is $8,000, and then after you get an additional barrel, additional caliber kit, and the tools to change it, you're looking at almost 11,000 bucks. Is it worth it? In my opinion, it is. I mean, this rifle looks, feels, operates, and the attention to detail, the fit and finish, it feels and looks like a $11,000 kit. It's one of the best shooting rifles I have ever shot. Again, right up there with Accuracy International, right up there with some of the more expensive Victrix or whatever else. One thing I will say, just on the aesthetics, man, these rifles stand out amongst all of those other ones I mentioned. The AIs, the Victrix. When people see this, they gravitate toward, like, what is that? And then they shoot it. It is just a it's just a great experience. That doesn't matter to a lot of people out there. I get it. But for many people, it does. You're not only getting a rifle that looks good and performs well, it's a rifle that is going to be sought after, collected. You know, I really see these maintaining their value, and they're just not the run-of-the-mill rifle. So if that's what you're looking for, I think this is an excellent, excellent choice. And on top of that, you're getting a really great company behind the rifle. I mean, everybody with Cadex that I've met so far has just been so generous with their time, information, just wonderful people to deal with. And, you know, that to me matters as much as anything out there, and especially as a dealer, because, you know, you're going to hold me accountable and I'm going to hold them accountable. And that's why I don't do affiliate links or, you know, get up here and do a review on items that I don't sell, because I expect you to hold me accountable for what I say, what I do. That's why we do the accuracy testing that we do. That's why integrity is important. That's what it comes down to. So I could go on and on about all the things that I really love about this. Some of them are nuanced. Some of them are just obvious. One thing I am constantly shocked by, anytime I post anything about Cadex, all the Cadex, everybody that owns a Cadex jumps down in the comments, and just look at some of the comments from the, you know, people that have spent their hard-earned money on these rifles. They love them. And I think if you end up getting one, you will too. And again, there's a lot of options, everything from, you know, vertical grips to different MOA rails to colors to calibers. A lot of the stuff that isn't even available, or that information isn't available on the website, but those options are available if you order a custom one. And the lead times on these rifles compared to even a lot of the other rifles we sell are significantly, they're very short. So as of now, April 2025, lead times on these rifles are running 4 to 6 weeks. And that's if you order something exactly how you want it. We're also constantly getting in stocking rifles, so make sure you check our website. There may be exactly what you're looking for, ready to go, that, you know, it's going to ship immediately. All right, so I covered a lot in this video. There's still a lot that I didn't cover. So if you have additional questions, leave those down in the comments or shoot us an email, give us a call. You know, for all your gear needs, we'd really appreciate it if you go to ParamountTactical.com. We're going to take care of you. We only carry gear that we personally tested and we believe in, and Cadex is right in line with, you know, our product line and the way that we like to do business. They're a great company, quality products, people standing behind them, quality people behind the products. That's what matters to me as much as anything. And, you know, while guns and gear are great, what we're really about is training. So make sure you go to ParamountTactical.com. Go check out our upcoming training schedule. We'd love to have you out. We'd love to meet you in person. And if you're serious about learning long range the right way, go check out our XP Long Range Academy courses that I host in conjunction with Ray Helms from the X-Ring. The best long range training that you're going to get anywhere. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.